Mr. Speaker, as the sponsor of this legislation, I am immensely proud that we will soon send this bill to President Biden's desk to be signed into law.
The American Rescue Plan will speed up the delivery of vaccines, bolster testing and tracing, and expand access to affordable health care. It puts money up to $1,400 a person right into the pockets of working people. It extends unemployment benefits and gets help to small businesses. Today, with President Biden in the White House and Democrats in control of Congress, we can tell the American people help is on the way. American Rescue Plan, the long lines will stop with $20 billion for vaccines.
Pandemics do not respect international borders. COVID-19 won't end in America until it's brought under control around the world. The $10 billion included in this package for international support are a small yet critical investment in fighting COVID.
Mr. Speaker, my vote today for the American Rescue Plan will be the most consequential vote I have ever cast. Today, we showed that democracy works. Today, we make available all the resources needed to end a pandemic that has killed 527,000 Americans.
The American people overwhelmingly support this legislation, with more than 3/4 in favor of its enactment, according to a Morning Consult poll.
I support this legislation. The American people support this legislation because it's good for families, it's good for seniors, it's good for businesses, and it provides immediate economic relief to the people who are struggling right now.
The American Rescue Plan will deliver $1,400 stimulus checks, cut child poverty in half, and provide critical support to help our communities recover and reopen. The time for action is now.
The American Rescue Plan meets the needs of our families and communities right now. With this bill, we will finally put this pandemic behind us. We will cut child poverty in half. We will deliver transformative tax cuts for our families, especially working moms. This is a great day because help is on the way.
In the 33 years that I have served in this House, I don't know that I will ever cast a more important vote than what we are about to do, and of such great consequence, in but a few minutes. We are bringing down the cost for jobless Americans, saving them thousands of dollars.
This bill includes critical funding for emergency rental assistance, providing $22.5 billion to pay the back rent and future rent payments owed by millions of struggling families. And that is in urban communities, rural communities, Black, white, Asian, all folks will have access to this rental assistance.
This rescue plan is transformative. It is the biggest investment in American families in a generation. It puts shots in arms, money in pockets, children back to school, and people in jobs. A vote for this bill is a vote for investing in the dignity of America's families.
The COVID-19 pandemic is a once-in-a-century crisis. It requires a once-in-a-century comprehensive, compassionate, and continuing congressional response. That is what the American Rescue Plan is all about. We are going to act with the fierce urgency of now. We will crush the virus. We will provide direct relief to everyday Americans who are struggling. We will revive the economy. We will send the American Rescue Plan to President Biden's desk. We will build back better for the people. Help is on the way.
We have struggled through a year of gross neglect. People have suffered, they've died, they've lost their jobs and businesses. Families are living on the edge. But today, thank God, help is on the way. We included provisions to ensure that communities of color disproportionately impacted by the virus get the care and vaccines they desperately need. We include state support for state and local governments for our essential workers who are essential, resources to help our schools open safely, child tax credits that will cut child poverty in half.
As a former mayor, I understand the struggle and the strain of our cities right now. Congress cannot sit by as mayors, Democrat and Republican, are calling for help.
I support the American Rescue Act, not just because we need to speed up our response, but because this bill is about people, their health, their vaccines, their jobs, their businesses, their local governments, and our kids in schools safely.
It will put people back to work by providing critical support for the hardest hit small businesses, expanding PPP eligibility, and much more.
Passing this plan
will give schools the resources they need to comply with the CDC guidelines to reopen safely and to remain open, and resources needed to make up for lost time in the classroom.
Rescue and relief for those awaiting life-saving vaccines, for struggling small businesses, indebted families about to lose their home, for impoverished children, for those who are eager to get their children back in school. These are survival checks that are coming.
This legislation is transformative. It specifically provides $1.6 billion for HBCUs and additional funds through the United States Department of Agriculture, which is now authorized to increase its support of our 1890 land-grant institutions. The New York Times says researchers predict it could become one of the most effective laws to fight poverty in a generation and would cut the child poverty rate in half.
Direct checks will go to 85% of Americans. An expanded child tax credit will cut child poverty in half. Unprecedented child care funding will directly benefit its workforce, made up of 95% women.
This is a historic day. It is the beginning of the end of the great COVID depression. Today, we are putting money in the pockets of ordinary people, of poor people, of the middle class, and they will be an engine that creates a healthy, prosperous future for all of us.
If we want kids behind desks, shots in arms, and people in jobs, this American Rescue Plan delivers vital relief now and lays a solid foundation for the future.
This is the day that the pastor in my church would say, that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. I say this is the day that we restore the economy of America and save our nation.
When we began our work, hundreds upon hundreds of community leaders reached out to us asking for help. They told us the relief in this bill would mean recovery instead of recession. This relief means that our first responders, our teachers, transit, sanitation, everybody that's working, our public servants, continue serving our children, helping our neighborhoods, and protecting our communities.
Today, we have a real opportunity for change. $45 billion of child care to keep children learning and parents earning. That is always necessary, but even more so with the 2.3 million women losing their jobs, many of them moms. The American Rescue Plan, Mr. Speaker, is a force for fairness and justice in America. This legislation is one of the most transformative and historic bills any of us will ever have the opportunity to support. And we will get to work immediately to deliver life-saving resources springing from this bill as soon as it is passed and signed.
This legislation has been called one of the most consequential pieces of legislation in modern history. Well, I guess that depends. If you are measuring in terms of relief for nearly every American family and hardworking individual, if your yardstick is lifting millions of children out of poverty and giving parents the help they desperately need, if your metrics are a strong and inclusive economic future, both in the short term and long term, then it's easy to agree. And the American people do. We promised relief, the president promised relief, and now help is on the way.